the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode here on the CyberHub Podcast. We've got a busy show today. Again, I'm pre-recording because I am not in my usual studio and setting. So we're going to get right into today's show. We're talking about the Patch Tuesday recap, nation states, $3.6 billion seized from a 2016 heist of a cryptocurrency exchange, and so much more on today's program. It's a loaded show. But before we do that, let's get to, first of all, thanking our sponsors, KnowBe4, for their support. You can find out more about them in the show notes. So go and check them out and give them a lot of support, because without their support, this show would not be possible. I also want to bring it to everyone's attention. I do not have my cup of coffee. I don't. It's really weird. It's awkward, but it's okay. Coffee cup cheers to all of you who are drinking your morning Joe while watching this or listening to it thereafter. I will be enjoying an espresso hopefully in a little bit. Till then, thank you all for tuning in. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You can find us on your favorite podcast listening platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and so many more. So go and check us out there, and please make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. Let's get into this morning's show because we've got a busy one. Let's start with our Patch Tuesday recap real quick. Microsoft patches 51 Windows security defects with the release yesterday, some serious enough to cause a full computer takeover attack. In addition to the 51 CVEs that were fixed with this scheduled release, 20 other different security defects into Microsoft Edge web browser was also patched. According to the data from the MSRC, there are no in the wild 0 days being addressed with the February updates. However, POCs exist. However, a proof of concept exists, code for an elevation of privilege bug, CVE 2022-219-89 in the Windows kernel. A successful attack could be performed from a low privileged app container. The attacker could elevate their privileges and execute code or access resources at a higher integrity level than that of the app container execution environment. The list of vulnerabilities this month affect a wide range of Windows products and components, including some RCE issues in the Windows DNS servers, Windows Hyper-V, Windows SharePoint, HEVC video extension, Dynamics 365, and Office. Separately, Adobe released patches for more than a dozen security vulnerabilities as well in its Illustrator, Photoshop, After Effects, Creative Cloud, and Premiere Rush. Some of those are critical as well, although there are no active attacks exploiting any of those vulnerabilities. Mind you, the moment this is released, those vulnerabilities are out there. If you're not patching, you are likely setting yourself up to be a victim. In fact, Shodan shows that scanning for these vulnerabilities after they're released goes up by like thousands of percentages. So they're looking for these vulnerabilities facing the internet so they can take advantage of it because now they know it exists. They may have not known, or maybe a few people would have known prior to the release of Patch Tuesday. Now they absolutely know. So get your patches timed, lined up, ready to go. With Adobe, it's really, really easy. Set it up on auto patch. Primarily, a lot of their tools in auto updates will get it taken care of. So the moment there's an update, you push it down to the users, it automatically updates before they're able to start their workday, and we move on. Very, very effective, something very good to do. We'll move to our next story here, and we've got a few stories around stuff that's been going on. So this one is the DOJ seized $3.6 billion from the 2016 BitFinex hack and also arrested a New York couple. The DOJ announced yesterday that it seized more than 94,000 Bitcoin assets stolen from the BitFinex cryptocurrency exchange in 2016 and arrested a New York couple on charges. Ilya Lichtenstein and his wife Heather Morgan, both from New York, are scheduled to be arraigned in a New York courtroom. They were arraigned, I believe, yesterday. DOJ Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco, who announced the arrest today in a press release, said that 94,000 Bitcoin seized from the two suspects, valued at nearly $3.6 billion, represent the largest financial seizure ever. According to court documents that were unsealed, Liechtenstein played a pivotal role in laundering 119,754 bitcoins stolen from BitFinex in August of 2016, funds that were sent to the cryptocurrency addresses under the suspect's name through more than 2,000 transactions. Over the past 5 years, officials said that roughly 25,000 of the stolen funds were laundered through a complicated money laundering process. This included using fictitious identities to set up online accounts, utilizing computer programs to automate transactions, depositing stolen funds into accounts at a variety of virtual currency exchanges and dark net markets, and then withdrawing those funds to obfuscate its trail, converting Bitcoin to other form of virtual currency, and using US-based accounts to legitimize those banking activities. The 94,000 Bitcoin figure that authorities seize today are funds that were still present in the crypto account that was used to receive the stolen BitFinex funds as well. The arrest announced today comes after roughly 12,000 Bitcoins were moved in April of 2021, alerting many blockchain trackers and security firms. In June of 2019, Israeli authorities also detained two brothers, Eli and Asaf Gigi, for their suspected involvement in the 2016 hack as well. So a good win for the DOJ. The FBI is warning of criminals escalating SIM swap attacks to steal millions of dollars. If you are using a contact center, if you rely on phone number as a method of authentication, this is something you want to keep you want to be monitoring and keeping your eyes on. The SIM swap attacks have escalated to steal millions by hijacking victims' phone numbers. The numbers of complaints received from the public since 2018 has increased nearly fivefold, according to the IC3.gov website. FBI warning comes that after the FCC announced in October that it started working on rules that would pull the brake on SIM swapping attacks. The FCC's move is the result of numerous complaints received from consumers regarding significant distress and financial harm as a result of the SIM swapping attacks and poured out fraud. FBI is issuing this announcement to inform mobile carriers and the public of the increasing use of subscriber identity module, the SIM swapping by criminals to steal money from fiat and virtual currency accounts. We're looking at banking fraud as well as crypto fraud. Again, if you're using your phone for SMS-based MFA, this is significant. It's problematic. You want to try and use an app as much as possible. The FBI, Europol, a lot of people are warning about this. So keep your eyes out. Start to look for ways to mitigate this risk for your customers and for your organizations as well. There's a few ways to do this. One, don't use SMS-based MFA. Number two, don't authenticate only by using phone number. Don't let phone number be a single source of truth, but rather have multiple different vectors to verify the identity. And if you're in the telecom communications industry, if you're in the telecom provider industry like T-Mobile or Verizon and AT&T or Vodafone or any of those, do a verification at port out if something doesn't seem normal within the port out itself. So just a few things to keep your eyes on. Let's focus on nation states here, folks. So here's the deal, gang. Iran and North Korea have stepped up. Nothing that they do, though, is without the purview of their masters at that point, which is the Chinese Communist Party and China. That's really setting out the Iranian and North Koreans. They've been training them and providing them resources. There's been a ton of reports on this. We've had some of those come out. We've also I've got a really special podcast coming out on Friday with Jim Derenkamp, a former captain in the Navy. We talk about electronic and cyber warfare and so many different things. And we also talk about China in a two-part special coming out on Friday. So you don't want to miss it. I promise you. We talk a lot about nation states, but this one is a new Marlin backdoor in an out-to-sea espionage campaign that Iran has launched. It's targeting several diplomatic organizations, technology company, and medical organizations in Israel, Tunisia, and the UAE, where there has been a ton of cooperation between the three nations. Although Tunisia has yet to formally recognize Israel, there is some cooperation. In fact, many consider that Tunisia could be the next country to join the Abraham Accords that were brokered in 2020 by then President Trump and Secretary Pompeo, that brought the normalization of relations between Israel and Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, Sudan, and several others. So a lot going on there. This has been going on since at least 2014. They're known to strike Middle Eastern governments because Iran sees all of these nations as being a target to its regional dominance. They'd love nothing more than to weaken the Saudis and the Israelis and the Moroccans to the point where that would allow them to defect and cause harm. They've been known to do that stuff as well. So the Lysum infection chains are also notable for the fact that they have evolved to drop multiple backdoors since the campaign came to light in 2018. Started with the Danebot, transitioning to the Shark and Milan in 2021, with attacks detected in August of 2021, leveraging a new data collection malware called Marlin. The changes don't end there. In what's a significant departure from the traditional oil rigs TTP, which have involved the use of DNS and HTTPS command and control communication, Marlin makes use of Microsoft's OneDrive API for its C2 operations, essentially bypassing a lot of the controls you would put on your DNS and HTTPS for external communications using a OneDrive API. Would seem completely legitimate why you need to beef up any sort of OneDrive external operations for your organizations. E said, noting that the initial access to the network was achieved by means of spear phishing as well as remote access and administration software like IT Brain and TeamViewer, cited similarities in tools and tactics between OilRig's backdoor and that of Lazarus as too numerous and specific. The tone deaf backdoor primarily communicated with its CNC over HTTP or HTTPS, but included a secondary method, which was DNS tunneling, which does not function properly. Shark has had similar symptoms where its primary communication method uses DNS, so Iran continues to try to destabilize the Middle East. And there's that. And then North Korea is doing a lot of reconnaissance on behalf of the Chinese. So the Lazarus group are targeting defense industry with fake Lockheed Martin job offers. They've masqueraded previously as Northrop Grumman and British Aerospace Systems as well. Lazarus has been tied to a new campaign attacking hopeful job applicants in the defense industry. They've been impersonating Lockheed Martin in its latest operation. The Bethesda, Maryland-based company is involved in aeronautics, military tech, mission systems, and space exploration. They generated $65.4 billion in sales in 2020 and have about 114,000 employees worldwide. Lazarus has ties to North Korea, is also known to operate in China. The new campaign is using the Lockheed Martin name to attack job applicants in a similar way that past activities for the reputation of Northrop Grumman and BAE Systems, British Aerospace. Lazarus is sending targets phishing documents pretending to offer employment opportunities. So they're sending in Lockheed Martin job opportunities in a doc, or Lockheed Martin salary, Lockheed Martin job opportunities confidential, in order to get people to download those decoy documents. It's living off the land binaries, LOL bins, that are also abused to further compromise the target machine. However, when the malicious scripts attempt to pull in a further payload, an error was returned, and so qualies can't be sure what the final malware package was meant to achieve. There's a few different things that they do with this kind of stuff. Primarily, they're really trying to infect people who want to work in this industry, whether they already work for a competitor of Lockheed or want to work at Lockheed, and that's kind of what they're aiming to do in order to infect them early on in order to gain access to information. It's something pretty normal for those folks to do. Folks, that's it for our show today. We'll be back with a lot more tomorrow, where we wrap up this week. Friday, Jim Derenkamp, former captain at the U.S. Navy and now CTO at Geisler, will be joining me. We're going to be talking about electronic warfare, cyber warfare, and so much more. And I'll also be live with Javad Malik on Friday as him and I try to tackle some of the most complex issues in cybersecurity at 11 a.m. Eastern. So you'll want to tune in to that as well, live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and so much more. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Wednesday, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast